Hello and welcome to my 2021 plan with me. I'm setting up a new Archer and Olive journal this year, so come along with me and watch. This year's setup is relatively minimal, with thin lines, repeating words, accents of gold glitter, and craft paper. I love how simple this turns out, and I think it's going to be a great start to 2021. So let's get started.
Come on!
I'm starting this year off in a new Archer and Olive planner that I got for Christmas. I'm really excited about this one, and it's my second Archer and Olive, so it should be great. I love Archer and Olive. I am in no way sponsored by them, but I do recommend them for serious journalists. I started by unboxing this new journal and taking it out. Our theme today has to do a lot with gold glitter, gold stamps. I used some of my mom's antique stamps that she had from when she used to scrapbook, as well as some scrapbooking materials. I started out by writing my name in the first page. I didn't want to mess it up, so I did it in pencil first, but it worked out fine. And I went over it with my black Stabilo fine liner. Also, my apologies for the terrible lighting and sound quality. I'm in my parents' house for the holidays, so I don't have my normal equipment with me. Granted, my normal equipment is just an iPhone and a microphone, but, I'm doing my best. I started my title page by gluing in a strip of craft paper on the left-hand side. Then I glued over it a gold glittery M made out of text with glittered edges. This was actually a wall hanging that I found in my mom's scrapbook and card making drawer, but I stole the M for Mariah, which is my name if you haven't noticed. I glued that in. The glue didn't work that well, so I also used double-sided tape. Would recommend getting an actual glue stick and not just stealing one that your mom used in her first grade classroom, but oh well. I then took another piece of craft paper and wrote 2021 Mariah Forbes and cut it out and glued it in. And I also took an embossed sheet with a stamp on it of a beautiful gown and glued that in place next to the M. I spent a lot of time worrying about the placement of my pieces of paper, so you'll see me fiddling around with that here. I also drew the outline of the page with my black Stabilo fine liner. I wanted to make sure that while the pages are cohesive, that they're visually set off from each other by the background of the craft paper and of the outline on the other page. That way they look good together, but you can tell they're separate. I love how crisp and pretty it turned out. I think that the gold glitter gives it the pop for New Year's that you want, but it's not too overwhelming or ostentatious. On the next page, you're going to see me start setting up my future log or my year at a glance. You can call it whatever you'd like, but I like to call it the future log. I divide the 2 pages into 6 columns total, each one being the whole length of the page long and 9 boxes wide. This will be half of the year. I then draw in the title of the months of the year, making sure that they're centered, and then I go along in the painstaking process of writing in each of the numbers for the days of the week in the months of the year. It takes forever, so I sped it up for you. At the bottom of the page, I put in a gold stamp of flowers, and that page is done. I think it'll be interesting to see how this year turns out and to see if any of us ever have any plans ever again. Will we leave our houses this year? Who knows? I hope so, but nothing can be predicted. Anyway, I still like to have the months planned out. On the page after this, I do the penultimate 3 months of the year through September, just because I like to have that quote page, and generally these journals only last me for half the year. I don't want to plan all the way through December of 2021 just because I'm probably not going to get that far in this journal. Even though 2020 was a year of canceled plans and nightmarish days, I still went through 2 planners. For my quote page on the other side, I glued in a gold glittery star that matched my M from the first page, and a piece of craft paper on the corner for that vintage antique look. I put in a quote that says, "Remember when you didn't think you could make it this far." I think that's really important. I've had times in my life where I've wanted to quit before, and where I've wanted to throw in the towel, and when I never thought I could make it through my problems. But 2020 reminds us that we can get through a lot of shit. We can do a lot of things and make it through and survive. In the next page, you'll see me start setting up the essential spreads that I use throughout the year. My first one is my running list page, which I set off with this stamp of a flower in a circle. Technically it's the letter O, but I don't care. I think it's a flower in a circle. It didn't turn out well on the first go, so I had to re-stamp it, and I was pretty salty about that. For that reason, this page didn't turn out very well. Also, I used the book Ozma of Oz to rest the side of the page on so it would be flat. I love that book, and if anyone else loved the Oz books, give me a comment below. I'd love to chat about them. I'm thinking about getting a tattoo of one of those illustrations on me. I use my running list spread to keep track of tasks that don't necessarily have a due date, to make sure that I don't forget to do important things. My next spread is my things to do spread, which I use to keep track of books, movies, TV shows, and activities that I want to do throughout the year. It's great because sometimes you'll be sitting at work and you'll be like, I think I should watch Gone Girl again, but you don't want to forget, and you don't want to take out your phone at work, so you pull out your journal and write it in the movie category. It's perfect! I started this header by writing things to do over and over again in cursive, and dividing the page into 4 columns. Each column is about the length of the page long, and about 13 to 14 boxes wide. I then wrote the categories that I'd like to track at the top, and that's it for this spread. This is one of my favorite spreads that I used last year because it's so easy to tell someone, oh yeah, I'll totally watch that movie, and then forget it the moment that they leave. So this makes sure that you never forget any recommendations. I flipped back to my running list spread to write in the key, which includes H for high priority tasks and stars for immediate needs. This way I can just categorize things based on how desperately they need to be done. Next up is my need and want spread. I titled the page with repeating cursive. One side of the page says need over and over again, and one side of the page says want over and over again. This is a combination of grocery list and running list and wish list. It just keeps me focused on things that I actually need to purchase and stuff that I just want. I highlighted one of the words from the headers in my gold Sharpie pen, which usually you shouldn't use with Archer and Olive, but I am a rebel. Alcohol-based markers have a tendency to bleed through the pages, so it was risky. And then I just outlined the page with my Stabilo fineliner. My next spread is designed for keeping track of good quotes that I hear throughout the year. I wrote the word words vertically 3 times on the left page and outlined it with my fineliner. These spreads are pretty simple, and I think that's what makes their content stand out. I want to focus on what I've filled in and not on big showy decorative spreads. Also, I'm not that great of an artist, so I like to make my essential spreads pretty and usable. Following this spread is my interests and learning page, which I use for finding out new facts and finding things that I want to research further. On the side that says piqued my interest, I write things that I want to research further, and on the side that says the more you know, I write down facts that I've learned from obsessive researching. I've explained this before, but I really like to do it this way because it keeps me focused on the task at hand and gives me time to learn when I have free time. Moving right along, we have my video ideas page, which is essentially a brain dump just for ideas about videos. I put a gold flower stamp in the corner and wrote video ideas at the top and highlighted it in gold. Pretty simple, y'all. The final spread of this video is my brain dump, which was my favorite spread of the last year. I love being able to write the random thoughts that pop into my head and just have a place to put them instead of sticking them on sticky notes in the front flaps of my journal. I wrote brain dump in all caps on a sheet of craft paper and cut it out. I put it centered on the page and put brain on one side and dump on the other, and then outlined the page. I put craft paper on the corners looking like it was torn, and made sure that it really accented the page. I also highlighted brain dump in a black box of its own. And there we go. That's it for this spread. We're all done setting up for the year 2021. Here is our final flip through for my essential spreads for 2021. I love the beautiful gold accents and the simple text. I think it was really easy for me to do, and it's really easy for anyone to replicate, even if you are a terrible artist. Altogether, we set up about 20 pages together to start the new year, so good thing we're prepared. I hope that you enjoyed watching me set up my planner for this year, and that maybe you were able to follow along or just enjoy watching. Thank you so much for watching. I hope we all have a great 2021. And remember to give it a like, a comment maybe, or even a subscribe. Love you all. Thanks so much.